Now that Saturn has left Neptune, they are not anywhere close to each other anymore. We have received and are continuing to receive sobering clarity about something maybe we were illusioned around or felt fogginess with in regards to the new beginning we have been embarking on, really, zoomed out for the past 7 years, but really at the forefront of all of our lives and focus since the summer of 2025. Okay. So, where you have Aries in your chart, the house that it rules is the area of life that it's showing up for you. And this is why I do my horoscopes based on rising sign, because your rising sign dictates what signs rule your houses. I teach this in my Become an Astrologer course and in my membership. It starts with your rising sign, and then every sign after rules the house that comes after your rising sign being your first house, right? Right. So that is why we go off rising sign horoscopes in these videos, because they are the most accurate. Pop Astrology is using that. They're just not telling you. But my channel and what I do is all about empowering you with the knowledge of astrology, making it simple so you can learn the language and how to understand this stuff on your own. And not necessarily always rely on someone else to do it for you, because it is a lot more simple and easy to learn and understand. And that is what I have done and made a focal point of my learning systems and things you can take with me from me to learn astrology. So, anyways, where you have Aries in your chart is how this is showing up for you the most in regards to a new life that you've been forming a new identity with and around for the last 7 years. And we are closing out in a major way a 7 year cycle of healing in that area of your life because of Chiron. Chiron has been in Aries since 2019. So, what was going on for you in the summer of 2019? Kind of majorly coming to a close right now in regards to sovereignty, autonomy, independence, and relationships. We are closing that out in a major way and getting, like I said, some sobering clarity around what is not going to work for us moving forward, around what our boundaries are, what our standards are, and whether or not the things, the people, circumstances in our lives are matching up to that or not in really major ways. That is a big theme of this week because we have the moon moving into Aries this week, giving us a sense of emotional renewal. We have these, I was about to say Saturn. We have the Venus-Jupiter conjunction, which is probably the major transit of this week and arguably this month before Jupiter moves into Leo, which, by the way, if you want to sign up for my mail club, y'all, I just got the stickers in that are going to be included in your mail club packet, in your physical letter that you'll be getting from me about July's transits. There will be a special postcard for Jupiter and Leo to help you reflect on it and how it's showing up for you in your chart, and giving you a visual walkthrough of where to look for in your, or what to look for in your chart, how to understand it. And it will be delivered to your mailbox through snail mail. I'm so excited. The first one sends out the last week of June. So if you're international, the cutoff is June 15th to sign up for the mail club. If you're domestic to the United States, the cutoff is June 24th to get July's mail. So, yeah, I'll be talking a lot more about Jupiter and Leo and the upcoming Mercury retrograde we have in Cancer for July in that exclusive mail packet. There will be a literal letter. I'm so excited. Like, going through the transits, giving you my opinions on an interpretation of these upcoming transits for July, and I'll be doing it every single month. So, anyways, major transits we have coming up at the end of June: Mercury retrograde in Cancer, Jupiter moving into Leo. But this Venus Jupiter conjunction is really kind of a last hurrah of clarity and expansion related to our values, our self-worth, our relationships, how we're moving forward, embodied in a new version of ourselves, with those themes of what actually expands me. What do I actually need in my relationships? What do I value when it comes to receiving and giving love to the people around me? We are also going to have, and this is why I'm bringing up Chiron and Aries. Chiron is about to move into Taurus in July. It's another major transit we have coming up in July. July is a big month. And as Chiron is closing out its loop in Aries, it will retrograde back into Aries, but we will get a little couple months there where Chiron's in Taurus. I plan to do a whole separate video on this transit because it is a big deal. But Aries at the 20 or Chiron at the 29th degree of Aries, where it is right now, is major closing out of karmic cycles related to this healing cycle with relationships and our own sense of sovereignty and independence since 2019, like I mentioned. So that is being activated by the Venus Jupiter transit. The Venus Jupiter conjunction is very close to challenging a square aspect, challenging Chiron. And this week we're going to have the moon moving through Aries, so it will be touching everything that is in Aries, Chiron included. And at the end of this week, we will have Venus square Chiron because Venus is about to move into Leo. And then once Venus moves into Leo, it will be adding tension to Pluto. So a lot of pressure and emphasis, focus on transforming our relationships if they don't line up or match up to this new version of ourselves and new life that we've been cultivating. If the relationships we have are still kind of operating from past themes or past cycles, right? We need to either reevaluate that relationship, have difficult conversations to get on the same page, or leave it be altogether and move on, right? And that is the major themes for this week. What else do I want to say about this week? I made a video, I think I might have talked about this last week, but I made a video about Venus's relationship with Saturn and how we just had last week, or almost 2 weeks ago now, we had the Venus square Saturn. We're going to have this week Mercury square Saturn. So this will kind of be a time, might force you into having some difficult or uncomfortable conversations around those themes that are coming up because I believe, and it's funny, like Tuesday is the day we have the Venus Jupiter conjunction and it's a Mars day. And then we also have Mercury square Saturn, I believe, happening on the same day. So, it might be kind of an emotional day. It might be a little bit heated in some ways. There's more nuance to this transit. It's not just good and blessings and luck because it's Venus and Jupiter. It's the good planets. We have to also look at what else is going on. Mercury squaring Saturn. There might need to be some difficult things we have to communicate or uncomfortable conversations we need to have with people about those boundaries and about those things that we're realizing we need in order to move forward with relationships that are in alignment with our values and how we have stepped into this new identity and version of ourselves, and worth tied into all of that. So that is also something to take into account with this transit. And then, like I said, it's going to be squaring Chiron, squaring wounds, triggers, challenging kind of identity level wounds to be looked at as well in regards to this. And that might prompt for some emotional release. This is Cancer. This is Cancer energy, kind of challenging Aries energy, right? Our emotions challenging how we're initiating or what we're acting on in our lives. So, is there anything else I want to say about this week? Yes, there is. There's a lot going on. Uranus is challenging the nodes. I don't feel the nodes get talked about enough when it comes to transits and what's going on in the current astrology. Because the nodes are really impactful and they really rule, as I've talked about in classes and my membership and probably other YouTube videos, or you've maybe heard me say before, the nodes represent the collective cycle, the collective season that we are currently in, what we're all kind of focused on, right? So what we're changing about our ideals, our belief systems, how we consume ideas and information, and also how we share ideas and information, what we're innovating, what we're changing about that, about our lives, in our lives, is directly conflicting with what we're stepping into in regards to creativity or spirituality, what direction we've been heading, arguably for 3+ years. And at the same time, challenge. So it's challenging our direction that we're heading, and also challenging what we need to let go of as it relates to self-criticism or perfectionism or self-sabotaging behavior, or again, people in our lives that just don't fully support where we're headed. There's a need to really release what we need to let go of because it's outdated, it's past cycle, it's a past pattern that doesn't serve where we're headed, right? So that's also a theme coming up this week as well. So that's a lot of stuff. Um, yeah, we have a jam-packed summer to look forward to. There's a lot happening this summer. So, and it really is starting this month. Um, okay, let me see. Is there anything else? I feel like I've said my piece. Aries Rising, we start your week off with the emotional focus on your subconscious, your mental health, spirituality, creativity, the unseen. There could be just a liminal space you're feeling in at the start of the week. And there might be something about that that propels you to take action, have a conversation with someone, or share something creatively, do something, go somewhere that you don't normally do or go or talk to. Like there's some sort of initiative that's like you have to break outside of the box. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into you. There's a sense of emotional renewal. But in the beginning of the day on Tuesday, there might be some emotional fogginess, kind of not feeling clear emotionally, feeling spacey, waking up from weird dreams kind of thing. This is also the day we have the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. So expansion with relationships, expansion with realization of values, how relationships are lining up with that or not. And this is happening in your home and in your family, in your inner world. So there might be some realizations around home or family or people that are really close to you. And maybe there's a sense of needing to assert yourself in a new way or really speak up about something, set a boundary in order to feel and really act from this healed version of you as opposed to the past. That continues into Wednesday. There might be some residual emotions that come up on Wednesday that maybe you got clarity around of like, okay, no, I really need to put up this boundary. I really need to speak my piece as it relates to home, family, things of that nature related to you and your identity and your sense of self. There really is kind of emotional, needing to discipline yourself to something emotionally and maybe needing to have that conversation from a vulnerable emotional place. But just watch out for how do I say, overly communicating from the emotion as opposed to like processing it and then speaking your piece from a calm. Like you might need to crash out, but also, don't crash out too hard. Is the vibe and the energy. Especially on Thursday, there might be some really big emotional wounds or triggers that get brought up, maybe related to family, relationships with home or family in some sense or way. And again, it's kind of like just letting yourself feel the feelings and maybe not speak from those feelings, but once you felt them and processed them, like then going to the person or having the conversation after that. Later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your money, your possessions. There might be some sense of emotional transformation around possessions and money and long-term goals and visions and how you're moving forward with friendships as well as like what you want to do for yourself long term as it relates to money. There just might be a temporary emotional challenge around that on Thursday, later on Thursday. Friday, there's something I feel you're gonna have this emotional drive to act on as it relates to money, as it relates to resources. This could be like cleaning out your closet, getting rid of things. There could be a really big need to let go of something with work or career so you can step into a new way of making money. It's kind of like there's realizations, there's breakthroughs around what you need to let go of so you can step into the new direction. And as we head into the weekend, the emotional focus shifts into your day to day. There could be a lot of social interactions you're having over the weekend. There's a sense of like emotional change or chaos. So there might be a lot just going on in your kind of day to day, needing to run errands, needing to speak to people about certain things, and kind of just this sense of busyness over the weekend. There's also a sense of starting to feel tension um, between like what you're moving into that's new or different or more aligned with your joy and what needs kind of an inner transformation at the same time. That you act on something, or it's like you're going to be feeling creative, and then there's maybe some inner things that come up or community things that come up that you have to deal with and change, make some adjustments to as it relates to that to move forward in a way that feels good for you. So that is your week ahead, Aries. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Taurus Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your friendships, community, long-term goals, and visions. It's challenging what's being illuminated about your money. So there might be some realizations about how you're moving forward with creativity and career and work, and also what's going on with possessions or money, finances related to that, and maybe something that needs to be acted on or adjusted in order to keep moving forward in an aligned way. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your subconscious, your mental health. So there could be some weird dreams that you wake up with or from on Tuesday morning. Um, Maybe some like aggressive dream or just unexpected. That maybe gives you some like emotional clarity around something. And then, I don't know, also on Tuesday, there's a sense of like emotional fogginess related to that. But at the same time, there is a sense of expansion with what you're doing, where you're going, who you're talking to, sharing your ideas and information. Maybe you've been like writing a book or wanting to start a Substack or something. And so there is a lot of momentum on that, and kind of maybe even bringing in your personal experiences with dreams or whatever into that in some way and sharing it, because there's an outlet for you that if you haven't acted on yet is an opportunity to help you process and work through your emotions, is like through writing or through sharing those experiences, putting them into something, creating something from them that's going to positively support you in your mental health moving forward. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus on your mental health is kind of amplifying or activating like your realization around what needs to be a discipline thing that you do to support your mental health. Maybe again, that's having an outlet like journaling or something, someone to talk to about your feelings or talk to you about your inner world that helps you process it and work through it. There's a sense of like, no, I can't fall off from this, because it really supports me and how I'm moving through the world and helps me to see the kind of unseen themes that are kind of running the program underneath the surface, right? As we head into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into you, into your sense of self, your identity. There could be things that you're processing, triggers, wounds from earlier in the week around emotionally. And again, having this positive, supportive outlet for you to channel those things into. There's also this sense of emotional renewal, of feeling like you've come out of a fog and having more clarity than you maybe did earlier in the week, about what to do and move forward with things, maybe even as it relates to career, your public image, your reputation, again, what kind of you're doing with money, for money, things like that, that there's positive change around. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus on you is amplifying what actions you're taking to move forward on some new appearance or identity or sense of self. There might be some emotional themes of anger or aggression, maybe needing to like really have a workout regimen or something in your life of practice. Again, like what do you need to be disciplined with as it relates to your spiritual health, your mental health, your physical health? There's a big focus and emphasis on that on Friday as well, is really disciplining yourself to like, if you've taken up running or you've taken up yoga, like you have to be really disciplined with it because it helps you work through, um, it just helps your emotional health. It helps you work through unseen emotions. As we head into Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto your money. There could be some breakthrough as it relates to money, finances, possessions, that it supports where you're headed and what you're changing about career and your reputation. So over the weekend, it really feels like there's breakthroughs, there's clarity on what you're doing for money moving forward, and maybe how the people around you are supporting that, or how they could support that, like networking in your community, telling people what you're doing, kind of thing, in order to have more success or whatever it is, more recognition about what you want to do, is the kind of major theme as well. It's like, again, what do you need to communicate and how can you really spread the word of what you're doing? Um, because it's gonna be everything for you to have success in this new venture. So that is your week ahead, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates with you, and I will see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. We start your week off the emotional focus on your career. There could be something about career that you're focused on creatively or spiritually, more emotional drive in this area of putting things into place or gathering things and kind of taking action, initiating some things about career that maybe there just needs to be, how do I say, more like a cleanup, or there just seems like there's this inspiration of what you're doing and how you're doing it, with career, with reputation, and how you're moving in that area. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your long-term goals, visions, community, social media. There could, although, be some fogginess around that area at the start of Tuesday, maybe some dreams you woke up from that were weird about friends or about social media or community in some sense. Um, but it's kind of like stay disciplined with what you're building, what you're doing there, and there might need to be some sort of conversation you have about money or friendships or community or collaborations, perhaps, if you're kind of tying in or doing something with someone and money is a part of it, there might need to be some like clear boundaries or clear expectations that are set around whatever that is. That's more of a Wednesday theme. Tuesday is feeling a sense of expansion with money, with what you're doing to make money, how you're spending it, how you're investing it, how you're making it, literally like what you're doing for money. And there's a lot of emphasis on creative inspiration. So again, there might be these ideas forming or that you're taking action on that are kind of giving you more clarity, or helping you to establish this new path in career, whatever you're doing with that moving forward. And then, like I said, Wednesday, there's this need to kind of have a conversation with someone about money related to long-term goals and visions, maybe set some framework or boundaries around that. And as we head into Thursday, there could be some, and maybe later on Wednesday too, depending on where you are in the world, Wednesday, Thursday, there could be these deeper wounds brought up within community or long-term goals or visions. Maybe an imposter syndrome feeling of who am I to do this, or is this really for me, or blah blah blah. And just, maybe it could help you to have someone to work through that with, that's going to support you, that's going to encourage you and tell you those thoughts are bullshit, basically. But I do feel like there's going to be this emotional kind of wound or trigger brought up related to your value and your worth, and what you're doing creatively with money, especially as it relates to this new direction you've been heading. Later on Thursday and into Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your subconscious, your mental health, and there could be something about that that's really, again, this kind of imposter syndrome thing coming up maybe Thursday, challenging you to transform a belief system and transform a mindset and how you view what you're doing, and your role in what you're doing, and see yourself as worthy to be doing it, and adding value in the ways that only you can with what you're doing or moving towards. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus still on your mental health, still on your subconscious, your belief systems. And it's really amplifying like what you're taking action on as it relates to those themes. Like, what are you needing to address as it relates to your mental health? What are you needing to really put into place or take action on in order to feel more sustained and build something more long lasting as it relates to your mental health or your spirituality practices related to that that really support you moving forward. As we head into the weekend, Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto you, your sense of self, your identity. There's a sense of emotional renewal. There's also a sense of emotional breakthroughs, change, feeling different, feeling this sense of like more integration with what you're doing and what how you're doing it and moving forward with it. There's a lot of changes happening to your sense of self and identity right now. And they are starting to feel more solid and more emotionally embodied, especially as we get into this weekend. Um, but also over the weekend, there could be some themes brought up as it more so relates to these belief systems and the relationships you have in your life. How you communicate to people, how you communicate yourself, how you share ideas and information is kind of putting tension on your belief systems around that. Again, this perspective, asking you to shift your perspective and shift your mindset in a way that's going to be more helpful and supportive for you moving forward. So that's how we end out your week, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. We start the week off on Monday with the emotional focus on your perspective, your ideologies of life, how you view life, your perspective of life, your belief systems. And that is kind of challenging something to change about your inner world, your mental health, how you talk to yourself, maybe even, and how that bleeds out into your conversations you have with other people. Something about your inner world is being illuminated for you to take action on in order to shift into more healthy patterns or belief systems or communication styles. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your career. There could be a sense of renewal with career emotionally, what you're doing, feeling more inspired, feeling more creative. Also, maybe feeling temporary, like liminal on Tuesday, or maybe you wake up with like weird dreams, um, kind of lingering about career or about people or about your reputation in some way, maybe relationships as well. Tuesday is kind of a big day because we also have the Venus Jupiter conjunction and your area of you, your appearance. There could be really this sense of like feeling yourself or putting more effort into your appearance and feeling very expanded in terms of you, your appearance, your body, your image, your sense of self. But there could be something about that that you maybe need to again shift communication styles around and really it's kind of challenging what's going on with career. So there might be this need of to speak up for yourself or to share your ideas differently or maybe share more about yourself than you have before from a like maybe emotionally vulnerable place. And not in like a messy way, but in just like a processed, healed way of what's been coming up for you. And it might feel like it challenges something about career. Maybe again, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, it challenges your um the identity you've had tied into your career and your reputation and kind of brings up these old wounds perhaps for you to look at and grow from. As we head into Wednesday, there's more of that energy. The emotional focus is still on your career, still on your image, your reputation, and there's something highlighted about that that you're like need to be emotionally disciplined with or committed to. Um, and again, maybe really communicating from a place of vulnerability with something or about something related to career that has felt challenging. It's like there's this push and pull or this conflicting energy between you and what's going on with career in a lot of ways. And Wednesday could further bring up some wounds, identity wounds around that. Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your long-term goals, visions, community, friendships, social media, and is challenging what's going on or changing about your emotional vulnerability, as well as like your shared resources, debt, taxes, investments, those kinds of things. So there might be some emotional clarity you get from that challenge in order to evolve something about both of those areas. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus is still on your friendships, your social media, connections, long-term goals, and visions. And there's something you're probably going to feel inspired or emotionally driven to take action on as it relates to that, to build something more long-term, slow and steady for yourself. Maybe this is a social media presence. Maybe this is community-oriented events or building some sort of long-term goal and vision with money or investments or anything like that, and getting more clarity on what that looks like and kind of taking the action on it too. Saturday and over the weekend, the emotional focus is on your mental health, your inner world. There could be a lot of clarity, realizations that come through about your belief systems again, and what needs to be released and let go of so you can step into a new, really perception and direction with how you're viewing your life and everything around you, is really the major theme as we end out the week. And then there's this kind of tension building between, again, what you value in terms of money and what you're doing with that money, and how you're investing it or how you're sharing it with others or how you're using it to pay off debt or taxes. And again, there's more emerging about your long-term goals related to money and what you're doing with it all. So that is your week ahead, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start the week off with the emotional focus on your inner world, or your area of emotional vulnerability, on debt, taxes, investments, shared resources as well. So there might be something you're getting more clarity around emotionally with your inner world, and maybe some kind of inner healing is taking place. There could also be some things around that you're getting, maybe like patterns or belief systems are coming up. You're getting more clarity on these kind of maybe identity level wounds from your like past lives or early childhood, early, from your subconscious. It's like these things that maybe you didn't have clarity around are really being triggered and kind of brought up so you can see it, right? So you can work through it, so you can move on from it. So it doesn't keep replaying underneath the surface. So that's a big energy to the start of your week, especially on Tuesday. The emotional focus shifts into your perception of reality, your belief systems, your mindset. Also, international affairs, however that's showing up for you. But in general, it's really bringing up these kind of subconscious inner world themes for you to just work with in a new way and reframe so that it better supports where you're headed versus where you have been, not repeating the past, right? There could also be on Tuesday some emotional fogginess around your belief system's perception, but that could also be a way that could show up also is creativity, feeling inspired, um, maybe wanting to share dreams or waking up with some weird dreams on Tuesday, and just feeling in this very liminal space, but feeling maybe better than you have before, feeling really good about it and where you're headed. Again, with this kind of sense of like clarity over what to do and how to move forward in a way that's going to benefit you. More of that on Wednesday. There could be something on Wednesday you really realize you have to emotionally commit to as it relates to your mindset, your perception, your perspective of reality, because it's directly challenging what's going on with your mental health and what's going on in your inner world and these belief systems, these ideals, communication patterns, ideas or information you have about yourself or your life. It's really, there's a huge focus on shifting the way you talk about yourself and your life moving forward in a way that's more supportive and helpful versus hurtful, and repeating again the past over and over, right? We're not doing that no more. Thursday, there could be more that comes up around that maybe is kind of bringing up certain triggers to be worked through. Also on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your career. So there's a lot of emotional drive on your image, your career, your reputation, what you're doing there, how you're taking action on it, moving forward, especially on Friday. There's a big sense of you're emotionally going to be driven to act on something with regards to career or public image, and maybe something that you've been wanting to do for a while, and it's kind of like, here's here we go, here's the trigger, or here's the inspiration or the motivation, to really act on it and move forward with that. As we head into Saturday over the weekend, really, the emotional focus shifts onto your long-term goals, visions, community, social media. So there is this sense of emotional innovation, of emotional change, maybe related to really stepping into something in regards to creative passions or pursuits that's different than what you have been doing, maybe related to money and releasing some way that you make money or form of making money that you realize the past year and a half it has been serving you. And so there's this big moment of release and renewal of yourself for stepping away from it more fully than maybe you have previously. Um, and then on Sunday, there's a sense of, okay, what am I actually doing moving forward? What do I want to do? What do I want to change or step into that's new? In a really major way. So more integration on Sunday as we end out the week for you, Leo. And that is your week ahead. Let me know how this resonates with you. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you and your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional emphasis on your relationships, your connections, other people. There could be something about that in career that you're really feeling like taking action on, like putting into practice, putting into place. There could be this really big emphasis on finality about what you're doing with regards to relationships and career, and this big like need to act on something or do something about what you've emotionally realized with both of these areas of your life. And there's also on Monday a lot of harmony with friendships, with relationships, and feeling inspired by people or with people or from people, and there's just a good feeling with in regards to relationships and the people around you on Monday. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of emotional vulnerability, of intimacy, of shared resources. There could be some dreams you have that you wake up from on Tuesday that are kind of have you feeling maybe emotionally spacey or liminal or just kind of sitting with. There's this big, big emotional focus on discipline within your inner world and what's going on there. There's also a sense of expansion, like I said, for Monday. On Tuesday, this continues with relationships and with community and with social media. So there's this big sense of things really coming together, of really feeling this creative inspiration or amplification of your creative passions and ventures with your long-term vision, with community, with friendships, with social media, and what you're doing to support that, especially what you're disciplined with to support that. There might be some conversations you need to have with people as well in regards to that to just kind of clear the air around something that could continue into Wednesday. And also on Wednesday, there's a sense of emotional discipline with needing to just voice yourself differently, or maybe getting more emotional clarity about what to commit to, what to be responsible about as it relates to shared resources, debt, taxes, investments, as well as emotional vulnerability and just sharing from, a vulnerable place. Having those kind of difficult conversations that could come up on Wednesday as well. As we head into Thursday, there could be something emotionally triggering related to friendships or community or social media, also on Thursday. But it's kind of like this quick thing that you work through, and further supports you in stepping into a new version of yourself and identity as it relates to that. Then later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your perspective, your mindset, your belief systems, maybe international things as well, that you get kind of emotional clarity around or focused on taking action towards to clean up or organize, or kind of taking more action. There in order to slowly build something that you're wanting to do. But at the same time, that is challenging what's changing about work, health, in terms of your inner world. You may be getting more clarity on ways you need to support your health or have more of a work-life balance. And maybe there's some mindset or belief system themes or things that come up in regards to that. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus in your mindset and your perspective is amplifying your drive, what you're taking action on in regards to shifting something really big with your perspective, your belief systems, your mindset. And again, perhaps international things or travel as well. There could be something you really, it all just kind of clicks into place or comes together and you take action on. There's a big sense on Friday of emotional drive in this area of your life. And at the same time, Friday, there's a sense of conflict or challenges between values with community, relationships, friendship, social media, and these kind of deep-seated wounds, emotional vulnerability wounds or money wounds, that were tied into your identity, kind of coming up for a last hurrah of like, are you really going to keep living this way or moving this way, even though you know it doesn't serve you and it's not a part of what you're stepping into? Kind of a last hurrah of some wound or trigger related to those areas of your life. As we head into Saturday and over the weekend, the emotional focus is on your career, your reputation. There could be some sudden insight or change emotionally, clarity that you receive around how to step into something with career, move forward with something in career. There could also be this very big sense of needing to, again, transform how you show up day to day for work. Themes of maybe burnout, of maybe there needs to be a sense of like balance because you've been so busy and needing to really schedule more time for yourself to self-care, instead of giving it away to everyone else to move forward with career. There's this sense of like, okay, I actually need to reel some time back in for me and my mental health and physical health. And then we end out the week on Sunday with this sense of setting intentions and having new beginnings with career, what you're doing, how you're sharing information, ideas, socializing as well, for your career or about your career. There's a sense of renewal, there's a sense of a new beginning, kind of planting seeds for something really big to take hold over the next 6 months with career. So that is your week ahead, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you and your life. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your day-to-day work, health, routine, and it's directly challenging what's being illuminated about your belief systems or mindset that maybe were themes that weren't so healthy or helpful for you. And so there's been a lot of shifts around your belief systems and your mindset and your perspective. And on Monday, the emotional focus on your work or creative passions or pursuits is directly challenging that and really asking you to see something differently in a major way in order to integrate this new perspective. Could also relate to international things, international travel, perhaps international affairs as well could be a way that that shows up. But also on Monday, there's a lot of like inspiration. There's a lot of creative momentum um, towards like career and what you're doing and what you're sharing and what you're moving forward with about work and career. That extends into Tuesday. There is a sense of expansion and maybe financial expansion or ideas that are going to help expand your finances and move forward with what you're doing in career. And maybe, again, the juices are flowing, ideas are flowing. At the same time, on Tuesday, there's a sense of emotional fogginess with relationships. Maybe things just don't feel clear in a certain relationship, romantic or otherwise. There's maybe something emotionally that you just feel fogginess around with friendships or connections to anyone in your life. Especially those people that are close to you, or maybe a certain someone that's close to you. There's just not emotional clarity around. There could also be a dream on Tuesday you wake up from that's a little, I don't know, has you in a kind of liminal space for the first part of Tuesday or so. Um, Maybe connected to relationships or people in some way. And at the same time, on Tuesday, there might be some hard conversation you have to have with someone, maybe about career or related to career, public image, reputation in some way. That extends into Wednesday. There is a sense on Wednesday of more emotional clarity with relationships and needing to maybe really have firm or set firm emotional boundaries or hold emotional boundaries with people in your life in some sense. Again, maybe that challenges what's going on or what you're communicating or how you're sharing ideas in your public image or space, related to career, perhaps. And then as we get into Wednesday, or I'm sorry, Thursday, that was Wednesday. As we get into Thursday, there could be some sort of emotional trigger that's brought up with relationships, again, in regards to challenging something about career image or long-term goals, visions, that kind of thing, how you're moving forward in your life. And then later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of emotional vulnerability, of intimacy, of shared resources. There might have to be some conversations about money or some emotionally vulnerable conversations. There could also be this sense of what you're emotionally focused on in regards to this area of your life is challenging your creative passions or goals, or what's changing about creativity, dating, romance, is directly challenging your emotional vulnerability or challenging your shared resources, debt, taxes, investments. But at the same time, there could be a sense of like you getting more clarity on what needs to evolve to be more in alignment with both of those areas of your life. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus on your shared resources and emotional vulnerability kind of activates something you're taking action on in that area of your life. So maybe you've been getting a lot of ideas and wanting to move forward with investments or certain things. Um, and there's a sense of emotional drive and really taking action on something in a big way as it relates to your shared resources, or emotional vulnerability, like I mentioned. And at the same time, Friday, there is a sense of a major wound or trigger being brought up, really resurfacing that maybe is challenging relationships and career or finances with career in some sense that comes through somebody in your life. That's kind of this brings up maybe this old identity wound, as a last hurrah to really be cleared out in a major way, maybe even be related to something that came up earlier in the year with relationships in regards to people in your life, and things of that nature. But as we head into the weekend, the emotional focus shifts into your perspective, your international affairs, it shifts into your mindset, your belief systems, and there could be some sense of emotional change or transformation and innovation emotionally, in a big way as we head into the weekend. And there could be as well this sense of, especially Sunday, like setting new intentions and having this brand new beginning with really how you view the world around you. Maybe you're putting yourself into, maybe you're moving far away from where you've lived and you're really putting yourself into this new environment that is conducive to the mindset shifts you've been stepping into and the perspective shifts that you want to have and have been cultivating for yourself. So there's this really big sense of things finally lining up in a lot of ways, to move forward and support your long-term goals and visions and what you have been building for yourself and really what you want to build for yourself that's new or different, over the next 6 months. So that is your week ahead, Libra. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your creative passions, pursuits, dating, creative projects, passion projects. There could be a sense of inspiration or motivation on what you're doing and how you're going about it. there could be just a lot of juices flowing, a lot of creative inspiration or motivation. And at the same time, there is really this sense of clarity building within your mindset, within your perspective, and that it really all just comes down to you viewing life differently and viewing life from a supportive place and how you communicate to yourself and how you talk about things, and really supporting yourself with a more positive, nurturing mindset and like perspective that's going to support you moving forward with all the things that you're building and doing. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day-to-day work, how you're balancing physical health with your work, with your schedule, with your routine. There could be a sense on Tuesday of emotional fogginess around that and not feeling super clear on what you want to do moving forward with your routine or schedule or work life. But at the same time, there's again still these creative juices that are flowing around that as well. And there's a sense of major expansion with money or relationships or magnetism, creative inspiration, ideas, again, with related to your perspective, related to how you're viewing the world around you, and really what you've been solidifying in with your mindset. But at the same time, there maybe needs to be a conversation you have about that with someone related to work, because there is this sense of challenge between what you're really committing yourself to that's maybe new with regards to work or physical health or routine, and that's kind of challenging your communication with mindset, either internal or external, probably external at the same time. As we head into Wednesday, there's emotional energy around that. There's this emotional sense of what you need to discipline yourself with or to or commit yourself to or set boundaries around emotionally as it relates to work and physical health in order to better take care of yourself. And there might need to be an emotionally vulnerable conversation you have as well related to that. Then we get into Thursday, and the emotional focus shifts into your relationships, directly challenges what's changing about home or family. So there could be this sense of emotional challenge, conflict between people in your life and what's going on with home or what's going on with family or maybe even with your inner world. And there is this sense also Thursday and Friday of these identity level wounds that were tied into work or routine or physical health that you're shifting out of, but they're kind of triggered. Thursday, especially Friday, they're kind of triggered maybe by someone at work or by someone you work with, um, in order to just really kind of a last hurrah of clearing and really to kind of, again, put your focus and emphasis on evolving your mindset as it relates to this and seeing things differently, seeing things from a future-oriented place, instead of the drudgery of what you need to let go of and release in a major way. Also on Friday, there's a sense of emotional activation within relationships and within connections. This is anyone in your life, really other people. There's a sense of emotional, maybe aggravation, or just emotional drive, something you need to really act on or really speak about. Again, emotional vulnerability could be a theme these couple days as well of needing to speak your piece. Maybe process emotions before you speak about them in order to not like blow up or crash out. Um, is a big way this could show up as well on Friday. As we head into the weekend on Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of emotional vulnerability, of shared resources, of debt, taxes, investments, things you share resources with other people. There's a sense of emotional transformation, change in a big way, maybe related to your inner world, home, family themes from childhood, things that you're healing, right? There's a lot of like residual, energetic, physical, emotional healing that's happening this week and kind of progresses as we get to the weekend. Um, and then as we get into Saturday and Sunday, there really is some major shifts building. With career, with what you're doing, that feels more expansive, that feels more fun, that feels more joyful, that feels more playful, and also is in alignment with these new beginnings or this new chapter you want to have with your shared resources or with emotional vulnerability and how you share or speak your piece yourself, your inner world, to the people around you. So there's this big sense of renewal and just kind of setting these intentions to have some sort of new beginning with all of these areas in your life and how they relate to each other. So that is your week ahead, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you and your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your home and family. There could be some things that you're really just kind of more solidifying with home or family or cleaning up in that area. There could be things about that that are challenging what's going on with relationships, any kind of relationships, really any other people in your life. There could be this sense of kind of like a tug of war or conflict between home, family, and what's going on with relationships. And on Monday, there could be this sense of like, okay, I need to evolve how I'm approaching this or what I'm doing about this. But at the same time, on Monday, there's a lot of emotional healing that's happening in your inner world. There's a lot of expansion with shared resources, with maybe money or paying off debt or inheritance, investments, taxes, things of that nature are really feeling expansive in a good way from your relationships connected to home and family. But at the same time, it could also, like I said, bring up this other stuff or really be a sort of emotional purge as well of these kind of like inner world themes. It could really bring up a lot of emotional vulnerability. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your dating, creative passions, pursuits, romance, as it applies, creativity as well. There's a sense of fogginess on Tuesday with that. There could be a weird dream that you have that you wake up from Tuesday that you're like kind of sticks with you, but there could also be this sense of creative inspiration on Tuesday about what you're doing and what you're sharing and what you're putting out into the world that maybe is different or new. And at the same time, Tuesday is a big day because, again, there's a lot of expansion within your shared resources and your emotional vulnerability. But at the same time, there's maybe a conversation you need to have with someone that is in emotionally vulnerable and that also kind of challenges these boundaries or these things standards, maybe with dating, with romance, with creative passions or projects as well at the same time. And as we head into Tuesday, there's more emotional focus on being disciplined with something in regards to creativity or dating or romance, passion projects, and things that emotionally challenges what's going on with your emotional vulnerability, with your inner world. With what kind of maybe major emotional transformation you're in as it relates to self-care, support, and nurturance, as well as shared resources and finances. So there's kind of this, it's a very emotional time. There's a lot of emotional further wounds that are coming up at a deeper level, maybe things from childhood connected to your inner child type stuff. Really more solidification and integration of emotional healing in regards to that area. As we head into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your physical health, your work, your routines. So there could be some things you're solidifying in about that, but that emotional focus on your health or routines could also challenge what's going on about your day-to-day errands you need to run, communication styles you need to like really transform and not speak from a wounded place with or to people or even with yourself. So there's a sense of like needing to evolve something about your communication style or just how you go about your day to day. Maybe even getting providing yourself with more structure to take care of yourself and have a better work-life balance. Like an example is if you work on social media, like not touching your phone for the first hour you're awake, kind of thing. Like having something really boundaried about your routine, your structure that's going to support you moving forward, especially Friday. That is a major theme that comes up. And as well on Friday, there could be these relational identity wounds coming up as well. Maybe showing you some deeper, again, childhood patterns or wounds and triggers that at an identity level, maybe you didn't realize were still hanging out and they come up so you can process them so you can move on with none of the old dictating who you are and how you live your life relationally. As we head into the weekend on Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationship. So there could be some big emotional shift, emotional innovation. Could also be feeling a little emotionally chaotic as it relates to relationships. But again, it is supporting you to step into these new themes with communication style, how you present yourself, how you share yourself, especially as it relates to the people in your life. And then we end out the week on Sunday with this big need to set new intentions and have a new beginning around relationships in general and really get clear on what that's going to look like for you and what you want to create in your area of relationships that maybe is new or different over the next 6 months. And maybe there's a perspective shift or a mindset shift that's really wrapped in there as well that's needed as part of that new beginning. So that is your week ahead, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your day to day, your routines, where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis, and that's kind of challenging what's going on about your physical health routines, or your work schedule, things of that nature. So there is something coming up on Monday that's like I need to evolve or I need to take action on my routines in a lot of senses, a lot of ways, related to work, related to health, that's going to support you better moving forward. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your home, family. There could be some things emotionally that feel foggy about that on Tuesday. Maybe you had some weird dreams, woke up with some weird dreams, or in this liminal feeling space emotionally. But it also feels like a creative space at the same time. There could be this sense of spending more time in your home or with yourself on your creative projects or things. As we head into, um, well, first, also on Tuesday, Tuesday's a big day. There is a sense of needing to communicate something, set a boundary with someone in your life, maybe related to home, family, or your inner world. Have a difficult conversation. At the same time, your relationships are feeling expanded. So maybe this conversation really shows you that this certain relationship wasn't what you thought it was, either good or bad. And so there's a sense of like relief or expansion from having that difficult conversation because it gives you clarity. It gives you clarity on how to move forward, either with or without that certain person or relationship dynamic in your life. As we head into Wednesday, there's more of an emphasis on that. There's also an emphasis on emotionally committing or disciplining yourself to something as it relates to home, family, maybe like really needing to set emotional boundaries with home or family in some sense or around your inner world of like, no, actually, I need a whole day off to myself sometimes. I love that I'm getting invited to all these things, but I can't commit to all these things. I need time for myself kind of thing. Um, there's a sense of emotional clarity around what you need to discipline yourself to as it relates to boundaries with people, um, home or family, or tied in there somehow. And then there could be something Wednesday or Thursday that comes up. It's kind of triggering around that as well. Kind of triggers an old identity or an old wound from childhood, maybe even, or from home or family in some sense. But later on Thursday, there is this shift in your emotional focus to your creative passions, projects, pursuits, children, dating, romance, maybe your inner child. And there's this emotional focus on that area connected to money or resources in some way. There could be like a physical purge you're doing, cleaning out things you don't wear or items you don't want, selling things. There's something about your emotional focus on creative passions that's challenging what's going on with money, that's changing in a massive way with money or resources, excuse me, or possessions in general. And as we head into Friday, there's a sense of needing to really take action on something as it relates to creative things, bringing yourself more joy, nourishing your inner child, or maybe children in your life. There's something emotionally that you're driven to take action on as it relates to that. Maybe with dating or romance as well. Um, and there's kind of this maybe yeah, make or break moment around that. Again, there could also be further triggers coming up, like I talked about, related to home, family, and relationships, and kind of just showing you what needs to evolve about that and how you move in relationships or in regards to other people and what you want to change and evolve in order to move forward differently or better and just in a way that better supports you and your needs within relationships. And as we head into the weekend, Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto your schedule, your routine, your work, your physical health. There could be something emotionally that you're changing. You get clarity around on what to do differently with this area of your life in order to really step into a new perspective and a new reality that is much different than what you have been living before related to like your routines. And then as we end out the week on Sunday, there is a sense of a new beginning and setting intentions with your schedule, your routines, what you can handle as far as like social time, and versus needing time for yourself kind of thing. There is this big sense of like, okay, what am I actually creating in this part of your life over the next 6 months? And it starts on June 14th. So that is your week ahead, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Aquarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your money, on your resources, possessions, what is going on there that you're emotionally focused on, right? That's a big start to your week. And whatever is happening there for you is challenging what's going on with children or creative passions or projects, maybe dating, romance as well. So there could be some things that you're realizing about both of these areas and how they come together that you need to evolve, that you need to change, that you need to see differently or do differently, right? As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day to day, your communication, how you're sharing yourself, ideas and information, where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis. There's a lot of emphasis on that area on Tuesday and really middle of the week. But at the start of Tuesday, there might be this sense of emotional fogginess with that area of your life. There could also be some weird dreams that you wake up from on Tuesday. Um, but there's also like it's very liminal energy, and there's also this sense of like creative inspiration, maybe sharing yourself, starting a new project related to ideas and information and some, expression of you in some way that's different. Also on Tuesday, there's a lot of expansion with work. There's a lot of expansion with your routines, your physical health, and work-life balance, those kinds of things. At the same time, there's maybe some conversation you need to have with someone about that, kind of related to work or coworkers or physical health. That maybe is a difficult conversation, right? And kind of requires you to be assertive or be really direct or um, come from a place of like accountability, responsibility as well. And that kind of continues into Wednesday. Wednesday, there is this big sense of emotional commitment or emotional responsibility in how you're communicating, how you're sharing your ideas or information or talking with people or where you're going, who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, maybe even how you're talking to yourself. There's a big sense of needing to evolve and really emotionally discipline yourself to some new style of communication that serves you and better serves the people you interact with. Definitely within work as well, there might be some difficult work conversations you need to have, maybe related to boundaries. As we head into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your home and family. You might be feeling more like hermit mode as we get into the end of the week here, because whatever's going on emotionally with home or family, it is challenging you. It's challenging what's changing about you, what's transforming about your sense of self, and how you present yourself to the world. There also could be some major themes of identity level wounds being brought up and triggered Thursday and Friday, again, related to work, related to health. related to routine or how you communicate, your style of communication, taking accountability, ownership, responsibility, right? And kind of for your communication styles or something about your routine tied into work. There's something that like is kind of triggered in an uncomfortable way that you have to really face and ask yourself, how do I want to move forward with this in my life? So it doesn't keep like repeating in the same ways. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus shifts into, oh, it's already shifted into your home and family. Friday is really a sense of needing to take action on something emotionally within home or family. There's something that's been building with that area of your life over the last few weeks, and there's a sense of like emotional drive towards it on Friday. And again, I kind of already covered the themes of Friday majorly because there could also be these relational wounds that come up um, in a big way as well. Maybe about home or about family or about work. As we head into the weekend, Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto your creative pursuits, passions, dating, romance, children, your inner child. There is a sense of emotional change, emotional breakthroughs, perhaps, as it relates to that area of your life, and kind of supporting where you're headed and where you're going with creative passions or projects or dating, children. But at the same time, there is a sense of like, okay, what do I need to emotionally and physically maybe even let go of with resources or with money to further step into this new direction? Maybe putting yourself around different people who inspire you, as opposed to stifle your creative inspiration. And then we end out the week on Sunday with this big opportunity to have a new beginning and set intentions around a new beginning in a major way that's going to take place over the next 6 months with creativity, with dating, with romance, with children. In the kind of question that's being posed is how do I want to move forward with this area in my life with nothing, no themes or patterns or toxic behavior from the past moving with me. So that is your week ahead, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on you. So there could be a sense of emotional clarity with what you're doing, how you're going about presenting yourself to the world. That's maybe different than stepping into this like new sense of self and identity. There's more emotional solidity about that. That could also challenge what's going on with home or family in a sense as well. And there maybe is a lot of focus or thought given to what needs to evolve about how I am me and what shows up as a result of that in my inner world or with home or family. And how do I want to move forward and evolve these two areas of my life? Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your money, resources, possessions. And there's kind of this emotional fogginess around that at the start of Tuesday. There could be a weird dream you have that you wake up from as well Tuesday morning. There's a sense of just like this liminal space, emotionally liminal with money, with possessions. There could also be, though, because of that, more creative inspiration or things flowing creatively with money or with ideas or what you're doing about moving forward in this area of your life that's new or different. Later on Tuesday, whatever you've been disciplining yourself or committing yourself to with money and possessions, and resources, there's a sense of that challenging, how you're sharing your ideas or communicating yourself or your emotional needs with what you're doing creatively or how you're sharing something creatively, as well as like dating or romance or children or there's maybe some hard conversation you have to have about those two areas of your life on Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday. But at the same time, there's a sense of, again, like creative inspiration and more things flowing and expansion with what you're doing, how you're doing it, at the same time. Wednesday, like I said, there's a sense of emotional discipline with money, with what you have to commit yourself to. You're realizing you maybe need some emotional boundaries around with possessions, with money. That kind of challenges what's going on with creative pursuits or dating or romance. Like I said, kind of similar energy to Tuesday, but there's more of an emotional sense to it on Wednesday and a more of an emotional challenge around it on Wednesday. And this could be something that propels you to evolve your long-term goals and visions as it relates to money and your creative pursuits. As we head into Thursday, there could be some emotional triggers that are brought up around money or possessions that are maybe challenging that creative sense of inspiration, or what you're doing or what you're sharing, how you're expanding with creativity. But at the same time, it's like, again, how do I evolve this in a way that really supports me and nourishes me moving forward and also helps me to more so commit myself to these long-term goals and visions in a healthy way. And then later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your oh my God, excuse me. I feel like there's something you're gonna have to speak up about, communicate if because Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of communication, where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis, how you're sharing ideas and information, how you're communicating to yourself with others. So there's a big focus on that emotionally, and it's at the same time challenging what's going on in your inner world about your mental health that's really changing and transforming. So there might be something you have to speak up about and really kind of voice your needs around on Thursday or Friday. Friday, there is a big sense of having emotional drive towards really speaking up or taking action on something as it relates to a conversation or doing something in your day to day. This could also be like just really feeling busy in your day to day related to what's expanding with creativity, with your passions, or with money. Then, as we head into the weekend on Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your home and family. There could be this sense of emotionally feeling a breakthrough around home or family in a sense. And excuse me, oh my God, really feeling this more flow with what's changing and being innovated in your inner world, especially as it relates to mindset. Um, and feeling maybe even more emotionally supported as well from speaking up, right? So we end out the week on Sunday with a sense of what intentions are you setting with home or with family that is anew? Communication styles, boundaries, different attracting different people that feel like family kind of thing that are more supportive for you moving forward and your goals and where you're headed. There is this sense of like needing to really get clear on what you're starting in this area of your life and what you're building there over the next 6 months in a major way. So that is how we end out your week, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, next week we have a new moon on Sunday in Gemini, June 14th. Forgot to mention that at the beginning because I thought it was going to be on Monday, but it's actually on Sunday, the new moon in Gemini. Um, at the same time, we have Venus, like I mentioned, for this week, we have Venus starting to oppose Pluto, starting to add tension to Pluto. So it really is kind of like a make or break with what we're transforming in our community, our friend groups, our relationships that more align with our joy and our passions and our creative expansion. So that's a big focus on Monday, also as the moon is in Cancer, start of the week. Jupiter is squaring Chiron, so there are these kind of big, deeper identity wounds or triggers brought up in maybe, gosh, this is hard to talk about, but it's like we've been dealing with these kinds of themes since around September, October of last year. So they're coming up and being expanded in a more obvious way. Maybe we gave these things time or these people time in order to really see how it was going to play out. And nothing maybe changed about it, or we're having to really approach it from a different version of ourselves than we would have in the past. And that's a big theme of this next week, as well as we get into the middle of June here, is just not operating from the same relational wounds that we've had for 7 years that we've been working on healing and shifting and transforming in really big ways. Um, Looks like we're also going to begin Cancer season next week. We're going to have Mercury squaring Mercury by the end of next week will square Chiron as well. But on Wednesday, June 17th, we have the moon moving into Leo over Venus, opposite Pluto. So again, there's this big sense of emotional transformation, with relationships, with people, with money, in ways that really just align with our joy first and foremost, and putting that at the forefront of what we're focused on. Actually, we begin Mercury retrograde pre-shadow. So I don't actually think Mercury will square Chiron because it starts to slow down before it goes retrograde around the middle of June. So that is something that will be happening next week as well. Um, and then yeah, we have the moon moving into Virgo Friday, and we'll be there over the weekend. Chiron moves into Taurus next week as well. So I'll be making a video dedicated to that. But yeah, that's a little glimpse into what to look forward to for next week. I'll save the rest of the juicy stuff for next week's video, and I'll see you then. Bye.